So in my algebra, because I know teachers are on different paces, we did lesson 22/23, which is the first time in this unit. It mentions vertex form again. Vertex form was in unit 6. So let me remind you what that looks like. What is really easy to see when it's in vertex form? The vertex. That's why it's called vertex form. What letters in this formula would give me the vertex? H and K, because we don't want to use X and Y because that would be kind of confusing. X would be like your input, Y would be your output. The numbers or the letters that get replaced with numbers are A, H, and K, which H and K are your vertex. This A is the same as what's in front of the X squared in standard form. And one of the things that we did today was make standard form to vertex form. That's like a bigger skill, I guess, than all the other things we did. We did a lot of things today, all of which are on the test. So like this lesson covered at least 3 problems on the test. You need to be able to identify maximum, minimum, vertex, and line of symmetry. In this lesson, it focused all without graphing, but of course, like on the real test, you can check your answers with graphing. But not everything is something you can type with decimals. Like you need to know the definitions of each. So listen, maximum and minimum, where do I find those? Or what are they exactly? Maximum and minimum. Maximum, it goes like this, and then it's actually the opposite. So if it goes like this, then it's a maximum. If it, so like down like a frown when negative things happen to you, down like a frown. And then if it opens upwards, then it's a minimum, because then it's your smallest value. Now, today we made sure specifically, like if I asked you for the maximum or minimum, what am I talking about exactly? Half of you aren't listening. Need to listen. Aaron, listen. When I ask you about minimum and maximum, like identify it, I'm talking about what? What'd you say? Well, you can find it on the vertex, but the maximum and minimum isn't both of those numbers. It is only the okay, line of symmetry is also in the vertex, but only a certain part of it.
Is your answer?
No. If you haven't had the lesson yet, then maybe like don't. I appreciate you trying. But half of you had the lesson like an hour ago. Your vertex is 2 numbers. Your maximum / minimum is only one of them. Which of it? Okay, that's what I was looking for. So in your vertex, I'll use this / this. The y of your vertex is your maximum or minimum, depending on how it's opening. What is the x of your vertex? The line of symmetry. So those are things that you should be able to identify and then compare. So like if I have 2 different functions, whether they're graph, table, equations, and then of course the equations all have different forms, you need to be able to compare the y's of your vertex and say which is higher. You need to be able to tell me the line of symmetry as x equals this number and it happens to match the x of the vertex. So that covers maximum, minimum. You know how to find vertex. For line of symmetry, let me remind you of that equation. I'll put it over here. Because not all the time do you know the vertex. Like they'll give it to you sometimes in standard form, and then to put it into vertex form, you need to calculate the line of symmetry, which is x equals negative b over 2a. Where b would be the number in front of the x, a would be the number in front of the x squared. So then you can use that line of symmetry to find the x of your vertex if it's not in vertex form. And then to find the y of your vertex, you can just plug in whatever the x was for your line of symmetry and solve for y. So this would technically be equal to y as well. All right, I know that might seem confusing if you haven't had the lesson yet, but always go back to like the learning targets. You need to be able to do these things to be successful on the test. I'm here, especially like if you didn't have a lesson yet, I'm here to help you. So you ask as you go. Otherwise, like I always check in last 20 minutes and do some on the screen, but that doesn't mean you need to wait that long. Anytime. I'll leave this screen up. So number 3 on the 22-23 practice, we are writing that quadratic in vertex form. So let me remind you, vertex form looks like this. And I'm not giving you that formula on the test, by the way. I also did not give it to you on the Unit 6 test. So you would have to remember that. And then what part of this formula would be your vertex?
Education.
Okay, so if you can figure out what the vertex is, which you can from standard form, like I'll show you, then you can put it into vertex form. The A in the vertex form is the same as the A in your standard form, so that should be pretty easy. What's the A of this? So that will go here. Then we need to find the vertex. So my suggestion for finding the vertex when it's in standard form is to find the line of symmetry. And then plug in x and solve for y. All right, so line of symmetry, which has this formula, x equals negative b over 2a. So here's another way you could write it. And then b of x, basically. Negative b over 2a. We're going to use that to find the x of our vertex. So what is my b value in this? Negative 20, and it's a negative b. So like we do negative and then we plug in the negative 20 like that. And then 2 times a, what's my a value? And then we simplify. What happens when it's a negative 20?
Positive.
Good. 2 times 2 is 20 divided by 4 is. So the x of my vertex is a 5. That doesn't mean this will be a 5 though. So let's just wait to plug it into vertex form. But the x of my vertex is 5. The y of my vertex I get from plugging in my x into the given equation. So I'm going to plug it in. Anywhere that I see an x, it's going to now be a 5. And then I'm just going to use my calculator for that part of it because you should. And anytime you plug in, use parentheses and put that in your calculator. So I'm going to do that in a separate tab. 2 times 5 squared. Minus plus 32. Okay. Okay. So I'm getting that my y value of my vertex is negative. So then this is my vertex. When I go to plug it into vertex form, which is this formula, So the A we already had from before. When we plug in the H, it goes HK, we're plugging in a +5, so it should actually look negative in the equation. If we plug in a positive, it looks opposite. And then when we plug in a -18 for the K, normally we don't write plus -18, we just put minus. So to make it where we type it in and it gives us the right answer, this would have to be a -5 that you type in because for some reason they have a plus right there. Why, I have no clue. But if I want it to be negative, I need to put or look negative in the end, it's -5. And then over here, they already have a minus. So I have to just put 18 in. Weird that they set it up that way, but that's how I make it equivalent to what it should be. So if you have any other questions, do let me know.